Hi everyone, just a quick note before we begin this week's episode. Like you, we are closely watching the heartbreaking situation in Ukraine, which is changing day to day. We've been reporting on it at CNA and trying to piece together the material and spiritual toll that the conflict is taking on the people of Ukraine. In that regard, we are relying a lot on brave journalists' reports, including the reporting of EWTN's own Ukraine Bureau. Last week, our colleague Katie Yoder reported on an interesting new project chronicling life in Ukraine following the invasion.
The 5th of March, the 10th day of the war.
St. Rita Radio, an EWTN affiliate in Norway, is collecting and translating dispatches from an anonymous Ukrainian journalist. They're turning her observations and spiritual reflections into a daily video podcast.
I thought about the improbability of God's action. I also reflected on the lives of the Holy Family who were forced to leave everything and flee to Egypt. Thank God.
I wanted to let you know about this podcast for two reasons. One, it's just a really interesting project from a fellow EWTN affiliate, and one that serves as a great reminder to pray for Ukraine. And two, we are planning to focus an entire upcoming episode of CNA Newsroom on this topic, so look out for that, and in the meantime, check out our show notes for a link where you can subscribe to St. Rita Radio on YouTube. And again, do please continue to pray for the people of Ukraine and for an end to the conflict.
I ask you to pray for peace and the conversion of our people and all those who are blinded by sin and anger. Lord, do not let any...
And with that, on to today's show. Enjoy. When Daniel Campbell saw the email in his inbox last spring, his first thought was, am I being scammed?
Because the email was talking about how I'm a priest in Uganda and I would really love to take your class, but I can't afford to do it. Is there any way you can help me out?
For context, Daniel is the director of Denver's St. John Vianney Seminary Lay Division, which provides opportunities for instruction and formation in the Catholic faith. He had recently announced plans to teach a 6-week online course that summer on St. Joseph, the foster father of Jesus.
Initially, when I saw it, I was on vacation in San Diego, so I wasn't paying too close of attention. But as I looked at it on my phone, I thought, this is, the whole Nigerian prince scam email. I need money, I'm in jail. Yeah, and that is legitimately what I thought. I thought, this is just somebody who wants me to help him out by giving him money. So I didn't pay much attention to it.
But when Daniel got back home to Denver, he did a little digging and realized the priest was legit.
So I just kind of Googled a couple of those little details, and it was actually true.
Either that, or it was the most elaborate scam he'd ever seen.
I begin by my name. I'm Father Samuel Okiria.
This, of course, is the priest. By the way, I hope you'll be forgiving of the fact that our connection wasn't crystal clear. Uganda is quite a ways away, after all.
In East Africa.
Father Samuel is an impressive guy. He's served in various capacities in his diocese, including as a teacher, the bishop's private secretary, and as vice chancellor, and now he's a professor at a national seminary. One day last year, Father Samuel was scrolling through a Catholic news app on his phone when he came across an article written by some organization called Catholic News Agency. Anyway, it was an article written by some guy named Jonah McKeown. Okay, fine, it was written by me. The article was about the upcoming St. Joseph course that Daniel was planning to teach. Despite the fact that the course would be taught from half a world away, it caught Father Samuel's attention. He wanted to join and to learn more about St. Joseph. But there was a problem. The course cost $100 to join.
I sent an email to Daniel Campbell to ask that can I also join that class?
As soon as Daniel realized the priest was in fact legit, he jumped at the chance to help.
I said, oh my goodness, I would love for you to take the class. I'll comp you. Don't worry about it. You don't have to pay for it. It would just be amazing to help you out in your priestly ministry by learning about St. Joseph. So by all means, please take the class. I'll set you up for free.
But Father Samuel had another request. He didn't want to only take the course himself. He wanted to share it.
I have some other brother priests whom I would be happy to introduce to you, and they could also have access to this St. Joseph's class.
Father Samuel had 10 other priest friends who he wanted to share the course with as well. Daniel happily gave them all access.
Very young priests. I mean, most of these gentlemen are in their late 20s, early 30s. I mean, some of them are born in the 1990s. So it was this unbelievable collection of 11 priests in total from the Diocese of Soroti in Uganda. If I remember right, I don't think anybody was born before the 1980s. So these are young priests, at the start of their priestly ministry, 11 of them in total. Some of them currently in Uganda, some of them currently studying in Rome. So it was really this beautiful moment of having these connections now to these priests in Uganda to provide some formation for them.
Father Samuel's parish in Uganda is in an especially poor part of a largely agrarian region.
3/4 of our diocese, the population, the people, is rural.
Agriculture is the backbone of the economy in Uganda, and especially in Father Samuel's area.
Cattle, and then we have sheep, local sheep and goats, and some pigs. And then we have poultry, we have chicken, we have turkeys. And then when you get to crops, right now we're harvesting potatoes. We survive on potatoes and cassava.
For a variety of reasons, it's a difficult place to minister as a Catholic priest, especially since the coronavirus pandemic. Among other things, it's been difficult for people to access healthcare and vaccines. Father Samuel said many of his fellow priests in his diocese are having to do their pastoral work alone in isolated parishes with little or no assistance. They were, and still are, in need of encouragement.
You have many priests who are enduring pastoral work alone in many parishes, and they don't have assistance.
As you can imagine, it wasn't always easy for the priests to join the live online course all the way from Uganda. The 10-hour time difference, combined with occasional internet connectivity problems, made it difficult for many of them to join consistently. But they made the most of the situation. Those who were able to access the course shared the information they learned with others at clergy meetings. For Father Samuel, learning about St. Joseph's heroism and fatherly work was a great inspiration. It was just the boost he needed after such a difficult and isolated past couple of years.
Yeah, I learned much about the spirituality of St. Joseph.
He said St. Joseph's example has helped to rekindle his fatherly heart and to reach out to his many neighbors in need.
Those who are underprivileged in society, who are forgotten in society. St. Joseph's class has reawakened in me the priestly consciousness of being humble and being relevant to the people, and to give my life for the service of people, obedience to God's will, to God's voice. Yeah.
Daniel hadn't even been planning to teach a course on St. Joseph in 2021 until Pope Francis's declaration at the end of 2020, proclaiming a year dedicated to St. Joseph. Pope Francis's declaration helped inspire him to take up the topic.
And I think even beyond the year of St. Joseph, that there's just such a fascination people have with him and wanting to understand him more, and people not quite realizing how intense of a life it was for him. If you just think, for example, somebody, Herod in this case, wants to kill your child, and how intense of an emotional difficulty that would be, and how intense of a physical difficulty it would be to have to flee in the middle of the night to Egypt. People maybe haven't quite sat with these things before to really realize how intense his life was and how heroic of a life he really needed to live in order to serve Mary and Jesus as he's called to. So those were two really beautiful, consistent points of feedback, how much information there really is to take from the text about his life and the reflection that the saints give us, and then how heroic of a man he really was, and therefore how inspirational he is for us in our own journey of faith, if you will, as well.
Both Daniel and Father Samuel said that the experience of connecting with one another, despite the vast distance and cultural differences, has shown them just how universal the Catholic faith truly is. And, by the way, they've kept in touch.
We, as a Catholic Church, are one, and the Pope has stressed that in his writings, in his way of life, solidarity. So my message to the people of the United States is let's support one another. Let us live in peace and harmony, and let us be true Catholic in terms of charity and practice.
CNA Newsroom is a production of Catholic News Agency, a service of EWTN News. I'm your host, Jonah McKeown. I produce and edit this show with the help of our executive producer, Kate Oliveira. A very special thanks this week to Daniel Campbell, Father Samuel Okiria, and Brad Jolly, who unfortunately we had to cut his interview for time, but he has a really interesting connection in all of this as well, so I'm sure I'll do a follow-up story for CNA about it. And by the way, if Daniel's course on St. Joseph sounds interesting to you, the audio recordings of the course are available for purchase online right now. Check out the link in our show notes to find out how to access them. Don't forget to subscribe to CNA Newsroom and to write us a rating and a review, and we really appreciate that. We'll see you in 2 weeks. St. Joseph, pray for us.